we're experiencing now. But we know that we're in the midst of the in-season time, and more people are coming. And so the service schedule, starting the first Sunday in Lent, the traditional worship schedule is going to be what it used to be, which is 7:39 and 11. 7:39 and 11. So if you come at 10:30, you'll have come for half an hour of prayer in anticipation of the 11 o'clock service, starting the first Sunday in Lent. So as to the regular business of this meeting, I want to draw our attention to the vestry. The vestry is kind of the board of directors that works here for you, in order to be able to make sure that all of the work of the Spirit in your life is reflected in the governance of this community. So the vestry works hand in glove with the staff and the rector in order to be able to carry out that mission and ministry. I want to thank especially those vestry members. There are 12 members of the vestry. And so every year, a third of the vestry turns over. So 4 members of the vestry are exiting this year. And if you are here, would you please stand? Maureen Cotter, Faith England, Nan King, and Mary Shaw. Please give them your thanks. Thank you. As you can imagine, it's been quite a year, and so to serve on the vestry, this vestry has been awesome, has worked diligently, sacrificially, and has helped to guide us as we've gone through this whole process. You have in front of you a slate on the screen coming up of vestry nominees. These are 4 folks who have been willing to step into a slate for the vestry. And if you're here, would you please stand? Ella Ashwell, Ashley Ciliberti, Mark Heyer, and Lon King. Thank you. And so by our bylaws, there are also nominations that are available. We've not received other additional nominations, but nominations are open from the floor. And so as the chair of the meeting, I'm giving you an opportunity. Are there additional nominees that you would like to name? All right. So there's been a motion to close the nominees. Is there a second to that motion? I see a second. All in favor of closing the nominations for candidates for vestry, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. And so you have in front of you the slate of vestry members standing for election. Would you like to vote for them? All of those in favor of electing this slate of nominees to the vestry, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. You have no idea what you're getting yourselves into, but thank you. And just for your words or for your prayers, so the new vestry and vestry members and continuing vestry members will be on retreat. It'll be a Zoom retreat, which we've never done before, but it'll be a Zoom retreat next weekend. So it's Friday night and Saturday, and so we'll all be kind of working together to meld together as a vestry and to be thinking about visioning and where it is that we're going. So please keep the vestry, always keep the vestry in your prayers. Now, another part of what it means for us to be an Episcopal church is that we have representatives who have your voice for convention. We're part of the Diocese of Southeastern Florida, and each parish has the opportunity to have not only clergy but also lay delegates who represent them. There are always 3 delegates and 3 alternates that serve us, and so for this year, I want to acknowledge the convention delegates who are the 2-year term, delegates that are rotating off who have served you in representing you to the diocese. And if you're here, would you please stand? Bob Brown, Barbara Godfrey, and Mary Shaw. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then we have a proposed slate of new convention delegates, and that is, if you're here, please stand, Kathy Connolly, Tony George, and Sue Riddell. All right, Sue. Thank you. And so then the chair asks you, are there any other nominees from the floor for the slate of convention delegates? Hearing none, you ready to vote? All in favor of this slate as your convention delegates, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. And I just wanted to share with you, so for the outgoing vestry members, it's been a tradition to give them a gift. And so Tom, do you have that picture? So this is an icon of, he's finding it. He's finding it. He'll show you. It is an icon of the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus, and it's really quite lovely, I think. And so each of the outgoing vestry members will receive one of these. So thank you. We have a special guest, a couple of special guests here for this evening, and one of the things that makes a church vibrant and for us continues to give us a sense of mission and ministry in the community is to have mission partners. That is, organizations that we work with who we believe are impacting our local area. And every year we try to identify at least one of them that has really been kind of the focus and presents an opportunity for us to be able to do good work for that coming year. And so I'm pleased that they're able to be here, and I want to invite up Madeline Greenwood, who is the Executive Director of Family Promise of Martin County, and there's a board member who's coming, and you may remember her. She's been around here, Cher Fisher. Come on up.
The other one on the mic stand here is live. Right here. You could use that one. Yeah.
There we go. There you go. Is this better? Ooh, yes. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Our tagline is transforming the lives of families experiencing homelessness, because we believe that every child deserves a home. And as Father Todd noted earlier, when you give your time, your treasure, your talent, we help these families. We do transform their lives. And thanks to you, thanks to St. Mary's Episcopal Church, since Thanksgiving, November, we moved in one family, and we're now helping 6 families. So thank you very, very much. We could not do it without you. And you all have been sharing all these things, your time, your treasure, your talent, and it has transformed the lives of these families. We have 2 beautiful families now living in our shelter rotational model, and we have 4 that we're serving in our prevention and homelessness diversion model. So we just can't thank you enough. And we've got photos here, and these are photos, and I know it's hard to see from where you are, but these are pictures of one of our families, our day center, which is on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, right around the corner. And it's because of you that we were able to get this up and running in such a short amount of time. So we really, truly feel blessed, and our families feel blessed, and they feel your love, and they feel your presence, and they note it every day. So we just want to thank you. And I wanted to give Cher an opportunity to speak, because she's the one that kept this going all these years, I think 3 years, before we actually got started and they hired me. So she's our board host coordinator.
Thank you so much, Madeline. I have such a fondness for St. Mary's. I remember when I met you, Pastor Todd, our Father Todd, Father Christian, and of course Lon King and his wife Nan have worked so much with us. And we are impacting the lives of children and their families that are absolutely, they've given up. There are over 500 children in the Martin County school system that are classified as homeless or in unstable housing. And what I love about our model is that we work with the local congregations in helping us, but we also work with other nonprofits. House of Hope has helped us with our day center furnishing. Project Lift with one of our children, he's 16, now 17, he's working with Project Lift. They're going to teach him a trade. They're going to help him. So working together as a community, we're going to make a difference in the lives of these children and their families. So thank you so, so much. And we appreciate you more than we can say.
I know we only had 3 minutes, so I just wanted to say, too, we've got all the churches that are serving. We need 13. We have 8 on record, and we have 5 that are presently serving. And we're only serving one family in the shelter rotational model through the churches at a time because of COVID. We have another that's actually living in the day center so that we can serve 2 and keep them socially distanced. And we really do follow all the proper protocols, even though you saw me take my mask off when I was speaking. We'll have to clean this. But anyway, thank you again. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, do you want? Okay.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It is, we all kind of run our lives, and we continue to kind of go from thing to thing to thing, and oftentimes, I am anyway, often oblivious of the kinds of issues that are kind of right under our nose. And unless somebody brings our attention to it, and unless we focus on it and work together on it, then problems never really get addressed. I want to thank Lon King. Lon, are you here? There's Lon. There's Lon. There you go, Lon. Who has really been the person I remember asking him if he would be, it was about 2 years ago, maybe more, 2 years ago, asking him if he would be kind of the spearhead for St. Mary's and kind of taking on the liaison relationship with Family Promise, and he said, let me pray about it. And so I'm the rector, and I ask people to do things all the time. And when they say, let me pray about it, and I don't hear from them, the dark side of me gets discouraged about that. They're just putting off telling me no. But Lon is the kind of guy who actually went away and prayed about it. He deliberately prayed about it because it takes making time in your schedule and knowing that you've got what it takes to make that kind of a commitment. And so Lon is that kind of guy, and he's expressed that kind of leadership for Family Promise here. So if you have questions, you'll be able to see Lon afterwards. Are you all able to stay to the end of the meeting? All right, and we'll have a time of questions and answers afterwards, and you can ask them as well as any of the other reports. I think it's me now. One of the things I don't like to do is to read sermons, read reports. I don't do that generally because you know that. But for the annual meeting, I always read my report, and it's because there are so many details in it. I don't want to forget anybody, and even still, I still forget people, and so I just want to acknowledge that we here at St. Mary's, we stand, and the staff, we stand on the shoulders of all of you as you do your work, and you pray and you sacrifice. So nothing here is possible without you. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Dear friends, who could have predicted the numerous significant events that have happened to us this past year? the political turmoil that entangles us, the racial tension that divides us, the arrival of a virus from China that has forced all of us to adopt lifestyles we would have thought preposterous just 12 months ago. Some of us have lost loved ones who were very dear to us. Our hearts and our prayers are especially with them. We have been through a lot. Yet the message for me this year has not been how difficult the challenges have been. The message for me this year is how wonderful God has been, working through his people not only to keep ministry going, but growing. So let us ponder a bit of the marvelous ways God has been moving in St. Mary's this past year. Numbers of clergy that I have spoken with have struggled through this pandemic, churches being unexpectedly closed, and no technology with which to communicate to their congregation. I have been so grateful then that thanks to your generosity, we made the investment to upgrade all of our AV equipment 2 years ago. That investment has paid off handsomely. When Easter came this past spring and the church building was closed, our services continued, and over 1,000 people still participated in worship via the internet. Unlike previously, all of our services, including services throughout the week and special events and concerts, are now available. Thank you especially to Father Christian, who has been a rock at my right hand. And who has helped us to navigate with creativity and good humor the challenges on every side. Thanks too to Tom Winter and his crew for making computers and wires and cameras do things we didn't know could be done. The fourth year of our capital campaign was challenged, and questions were raised about whether the Ross Hall renovation was even possible. And yet the funding was generously provided, and renovation happened on time and on budget, and when it was open for Christmas worship. What a game changer that was. Thank you to Peter Dayton, Bob Pearson, Brent Butcher, Lon King, and all of those who made it possible. When our mission trip to Ecuador was in danger of being canceled, we turned it into a week-long digital mission trip with more people involved this year than any other previous year, and also raised $28,000 to support the initiative there. We also normally have a fall renewal conference, which would have been impossible given that our leaders were from Pennsylvania and Canada. Yet digitally, we were able to host the conference with most people attending remotely and the leaders speaking comfortably from their own homes. Thank you again to Father Christian, Alexis Stuckey, and Tom Winter and their crew. And of course, while finances are always an issue, that was particularly true this year. Not only were donations in question, but also the fees collected from events and receptions that happen on our campus regularly and which completely dried up. Amazingly, however, thanks to your wonderful generosity and the PPP loan forgiveness program, we have been able to end the year 2020 in the black. Amazing. Thanks to you, Bob Bish, and Gollabart, and the whole finance team who helped us to stay on track. And finally, in the stewardship campaign last year, we targeted the area of spiritual formation for youth and families and articulated a goal of hiring a new trained staff person to step into that role. In spite of all of the difficulties, God inspired our folks to fill the challenge. Thanks to a 3-year matching grant, we have been able to create that new position with an incredibly qualified candidate that only God could find. The Reverend Patsy McGregor has now joined us. and brings with her a lifetime of experience and skill in spiritual formation. Who could ever have thought it possible? Patsy, where are you? There you are. And so I do want to thank you, the members of St. Mary's, for all of your prayers, generosity, and encouragement. Without you, it would all have been pointless. Thank you to the vestry and ministry leaders. No one sees the time and energy and often the tears that you have given in order to see this ministry grow. I want especially to thank Maureen Cotter, your rector's warden, and Jane Gilson, your people's warden, for their outstanding generosity, support, and leadership on your behalf. Thank you too to the staff, which has grown in remarkable ways this past year. I want to thank Ann Gollabart, our outgoing parish administrator, and Alexis Stuckey, our outgoing youth director. For them, working here has not been a job, but a ministry of heart and soul. And the best news, both of them will continue to worship here among us as parishioners. I know they're watching. Ann and Alexis, thank you. I also want to extend a hand of welcome to Tom Winter as your new parish administrator. Tom, why don't you come on up?
Good.
There are few, I think, who know St. Mary's quite as well as Tom, and as a staff and vestry, we look forward to working with him. Tom, say hi.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. How wonderful is it to be part of the St. Mary's team? Being a volunteer here for so many years has been a wonderful experience. And the timing of Todd asking me again for the third time, I think, to join the staff, the timing worked out wonderful. My business suffered from COVID, so I had to move on to something else. And my wife, Kristen, who's over there, she started her own practice, so I was able to, with the love of St. Mary's, secure a regular paycheck and allow her the opportunity to start her own business. I always say I love to be surrounded by smart people. That's one of my joys in life, to surround myself with smart people. And one of the amazing things of now working here at St. Mary's is all these smart people are coming into my office and saying, how can I help you do your job? Where does that happen? That doesn't happen anywhere. But all these smart people are just coming in and offering their assistance. I also want to introduce, talking about smart people, Karen and Ashley. They're our right hand. Come on over here. They're the grease that helps keep the wheels on the bus. So Kara, Ashley, thank you for saying hello. The last 12 months have been one of the best, I think, for St. Mary's. Being a parishioner here for 16 years, I've seen it evolve over the years, and it was a tremendous growth opportunity for St. Mary's. It forced us to think differently. It forced us to do things that we never would have thought to do, right? Look at all the technology we installed in St. Mary's. And last night, I don't know how many of you got to see it, but it was a real showcase of some of the things we're able to do. There's Brandon in the church. He was playing in the church. We could hear him in here, and we broadcasted it live. So he played along to the band here. We had Pastor Gore sent us a video we were able to zoom out. There's Christian on the one camera. We had Todd and Patsy on the other cameras just filling the room, and there's the production team, or the whole team from last night, which was just a wonderful, moving experience for all of us. So just to finish up, I promised I would keep this shorter than the treasurer's report. I see myself here, my role is providing a strong infrastructure from which the church can perform its ministry and its mission. That's a tough job. There's a lot that goes on here, and this is a 7-day operation. So I have my plate full. I'm going to try to manage the whole process with competency, respect, and love. So pray for me as we move forward in our mission here at St. Mary's. We have a great team, so I see no reason why it won't be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And then also, I want to thank especially among people who have been important to me this past year and have influenced my ministry the most this past year has been my wife, Darla. You have no idea how many of my bad ideas never come to see the light of day, or how many of the good ideas that I share with you are because of her. Thank you, Darla, for the gift that you are to me and to all of us. I think that you will agree with me that this has not only been a year of amazing challenge, it has also been a year of amazing growth, and has demonstrated a willingness by St. Mary's to step up and not only meet but exceed the challenge. But let us be clear, it is only Jesus who could do such a thing. The amazing thing about Jesus is not simply what he is capable of. He could have accomplished his mission all on his own with no help from anyone. No, what is amazing about Jesus is that he invites all of us to join him. From the time he called those simple fishermen from their boats, knowing they had no idea what they were getting themselves into, so he calls each of us to follow him and to trust him to open doors and do miracles that we think are impossible. With God, he said, all things are possible. And so they are. We have no idea what 2021 has in store for us. We have no idea the challenges that still await. Yet we know that he accompanies us, that he is the one who calls us forward, and that his absolute delight is to see us grow in our love for him and in our trust in him. Given that, how can we fail? No matter what awaits, we know that we are his, and that wherever he leads, we will be blessed and prosper. And so it is in the spirit of optimism that we welcome the year 2020, eager to see the blessing that he brings. Thank you. And so one of the things that I think that we believe in is this opportunity to be able to see people's lives touched by the community that gathers around us. And so we don't always get to hear those stories, but there are opportunities that we can get glimpses of them. And so somebody who's come and joined us fairly recently is Mary Donovan, and she has been willing to come and share her story with us. She's a little. Do you do public speaking very often? No. No. So, but she's been willing to kind of come because of her love for St. Mary's and for what it is that God has done for her. So, Mary, thank you for being willing to do that. Let's welcome her.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I just want to say I think it's still morning. It may be afternoon by now, but I want to share the story with you. I hope it means as much to you as it does to me. 8 years ago, my husband and I moved to Stewart, and my daughter and her husband bought a home in Port St. Lucie at the same time. I would be driving along Port St. Lucie, I would be driving along Ocean Boulevard, going to Port St. Lucie several times a week. In the midst of this time, she's had a new baby, so I was going back and forth quite a bit. And I always noticed a sign outside that said St. Mary's Church. I don't know, it's because my name is Mary or what, but that sign, my husband would be driving and I'd be looking at the sign. And then 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was numb, obviously. And again, I passed a sign outside for St. Mary's Church, but this time it was different. It was calling me. It was like enticing me, like, come in, welcome. So I went home and I looked up online St. Mary's Church, and I noticed that the inside of the church was very similar to the church that I was married in. So it attracted me even more. I saw that the healing service was listed for Tuesday at 12:10, and I was like, well, there's no reason for me not to get up at 12:10 and be there on time, and I certainly needed some help. I was very, very scared. I barely had any hair on my head, and I went up to the altar at the healing mass, and I told Father Christian that I really didn't know what to say. I said, this is my first time here. And ever since then, I've been going to the healing mass every Tuesday, either online or in person. So as we sit there and we pray for each other during the healing mass, I really can feel the Holy Spirit over all of us as we pray for each other. And I think that's something that I really didn't notice before, is how the whole church, we all prayed for each other. I also have a Stephen minister. So between my Stephen minister and the priests here, I've learned to have a deeper relationship in prayer with God. I have 3 children, and when I pray for my middle son, Scott, he's single, I always pray and I say, I don't know why I say a little lady, because Scott's 6 feet tall, but I say, please God, send Scott a little lady so that when he comes home from work at night, he's not walking into an empty house. And it really, the other 2 are married and they have families, but Scott is single, and it breaks my heart to know that he's going home to an empty house. So I said, God, you know what I want. I want Scott to come home to a home that's full of energy, love, and like I can envision. But I said, God, you know what Scott wants, but just remember what I want. So a week later, Scott texted me that his lease in his place was up and he was going to move into a new home with a friend from work. The friend has been recently divorced and he has his kids every other weekend. So I said, well, it's better than having some kids that go home, you know. And my heart was full of joy just to hear that my little baby Scott is going to be in a house with other people. I mean, I thought it was going to be a woman, you know, but God knows what Scott's want. Maybe Scott doesn't want the problems of another woman. I don't know. But my heart is full of joy, and it was just interesting to me how I changed my prayer around from hearing from my Stephen minister and from Father Christian and Father Todd, how changed things around and things happen, and I changed it around and it happened. I'm still receiving treatment for my cancer, but thanks be to God, I am in remission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. During this season, it's one of the hardest things is not to hug. So thank you for your willingness to come and to share a little bit of your story. And so then for me, and I think for us, you know, when we ask the question, why are we doing all of this? It's good to have people like Mary in mind, right? So I want to now go into the next report, and that is for our rector's warden, Maureen Cotter, to come on up and to give her report. And as she comes, let me just say this. So Maureen has been on the vestry this past 3 years. She served out a 3-year term, and she agreed to be with me as the rector's warden a year ago. And as we've said over and over again, who knew what this year was going to bring? But Maureen has been a constant, even before the vestry, a constant supporter of you, of me, of what it is that Jesus is trying to do in this place. And so her willingness not only to serve her term on the vestry, but to be passionate about spiritual formation, to be passionate about the safety of this congregation as she helped to compose the reentry committee and to chair it herself, and to agree to continue to chair it after the end of her term. I cannot tell you the number of things this past year that would have not been possible had it not been for Maureen and her prayers and her proactive action on the part of you all and on the part of the kingdom of Jesus. So Maureen, I can't say enough. So thank you. Please come up.
All right, how am I supposed to talk after that? Don't do that. Don't do that anymore. I just wanted to thank you all for being here this morning and for all the things that you've done in this past year. What a remarkable year. And I just wanted to share a few reflections with you this morning. At face value, it seems like 2020 is a year none of us want to repeat. But as I sat down to write my rector's warden report, I was struggling to put in words the enormity of all the good things that have happened at St. Mary's this year. It's a year I'm going to remember as a year of abundance, a year of seeing so many gifts come forward, to build relationships with so many of you in a time where we couldn't get together or hug. And it's really, truly been a remarkable year. And if I have interacted with so many of you this year about the ministries that you lead or the groups that you lead, and it's not unlike what we see in the nation. Half of you want to get together in person. Half of you say, no, I'm online only. I don't want to get together in person. And I think we've really successfully navigated this hybrid model that we hear about, that we minister to people in person, we minister to people online. We're reaching people all over the country, all over the world. And that wouldn't have been possible without the digital platform and the work of the vestries that came before me, and Father Todd's insight and his insistence that we get this going and we get it right 2 years in advance of what we ever knew that we would need. Thinking about Reverend Patsy joining us, Patsy in her first sermon talked about how when she and Todd walked into their house, they just cried. Well, let me tell you, the same thing happened here when Father Todd told us you were going to be joining. We just cried. We could not believe that you were that answer to prayer. Now, I'm going to get choked up the way he did. Really something. The renovation of Ross Hall is this spectacular. It's just, unbelievable. And I was really struck by some research I read earlier this year from the FaithX group that 1/3 of the churches who closed during this pandemic will never reopen. 1/3. And here we are celebrating the renovation of Ross Hall, the director of spiritual formation, our hybrid church, a successful year financially, a successful stewardship campaign. 2021 is for me nothing but a year of optimism looking forward. But someone wise once said, it's probably Father Todd, said, God's love calls for a human response. And this year, the human response from St. Mary's was just remarkable. And there are too many people to mention, but there are a few people I just have to give a shout out to. On March 16th, when we received word that the diocese said, the bishop said all the churches are closing, John Norris was my partner in crime, and within a couple minutes, we had assembled a phone bank of people who called every parishioner, and that led to a new ministry of an outreach call team, where 26 of you said, I'll take a flock, I'll take a group, and I'll call them every week, I'll stay in touch with them, I'll send them emails, I'll find out what they need. If you're Mark Heyer, it means you go and visit a parishioner and deliver her worship guide. It's really been remarkable to see what the outreach call team has done. John and his soup ministry, Darcy and the Art of the Matter, you not only fed and nourished us, but you gave us something that we could bring to other people, delivering soup. I shared the Art of the Matter with hundreds of people, including leaders of our healthcare institutions around the country who were blessed by it. That kind of outpouring really does only come from Jesus. Our Stephen ministry team, led by Cindy Eaton, John Lockwood, the Reentry Committee has worked really hard to keep St. Mary's safe and open, and to demonstrate how to live safely among COVID. And then, of course, our online registration team, Sue Riddell, Jeannie Dupel, Paul Hamady, who have helped make all of this possible. You have no idea how many hours they put in and all the little details they sweat to make sure that we can open safely for ministry. And then I just want to conclude by really thanking Father Todd and Father Christian for their leadership in such a difficult time. So not just the leadership in running a parish of this size, but can you imagine standing here and preaching to an empty room? Standing in the church and preaching to an empty church. You know, if you're a priest, that's not a good vibe. You want people in the room. And they just did it effortlessly. Like, the room was packed with people and they were feeding off that energy. It really, really was remarkable. So thank you both for your leadership in a remarkable year. And then one last thing, I know many of you attended the celebration last night. It was a hoot. If you did not attend the celebration of St. Mary's, you have to watch the replay. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna sing, you're gonna laugh a lot. But for those of you who were there, you know that we had a little celebration last night for Father Todd's 10-year anniversary. And last night, the staff presented him with a gift. Today, it is my honor, Father Todd, to present to you and Darla a gift from the vestry. We are just 10 years. I mean, really, 10 years. Now, 9 of those years felt like this year to me, but 10 years is, we've just been so blessed to have you and Darla here. We're so grateful. So on behalf of the entire vestry, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to the next 10, just saying.
Well, Maureen, thank you, and thank you, Vestry. Thank you. What a great leadership team, and it's just so humbling to be surrounded by so many, as Tom said, so many smart, gifted people who are also just have a heart for Jesus and what it is that Jesus is doing. And just let me flag Jeannie Dupel, who is the incoming rector's warden, and so stand up, Jeannie, just stand up, so that you know who she is. And she's going to be a very busy girl this coming year. And so I'm just really grateful and looking forward to being able to work with her. The next on our agenda, I think, is the treasurer, Bob Bish. Is that right? Come on up, Bob. This is Bob's first year as in the treasurer slot, and he and his crew have been unstoppable in keeping us all on track. Thank you, Bob.
Well, good afternoon, St. Mary's. I'm not sure there's much left for me to say, but you should know that my primary job as treasurer is to be sure that our financial statements accurately reflect our financial condition. And the short story is, I believe they do. My report is in the mail to each of you, but let's just spend a few minutes on the numbers, because Father Todd and others have already kind of burst my bubble. But I might say that when I took this job, I said, I don't want to preside over a deficit budget. And for those of you that have been here for more than 2 or 3 years know that we've had a few years of hard times. So we started with a budget of $1.4 million. 75% of the revenues we needed to make budget came from plate and pledge contributions. And then COVID hit. The campus closed down, unemployment increased. We had a few unexpected increases in expenses. No mission trip, no vacation Bible school, no weddings. All those other sources of revenue that we were planning on were gone. But thanks to the tremendous support from each of you and many others, we finished the year with 78% of our expenses coming from you. And we couldn't have done it without you. Now, Father Todd mentioned that we did have a little help from the SBA with a PPP loan for $89,100, which has now been forgiven. And the bishop waived a couple of months of our diocesan assessment. So with those important factors in mind, we did finish the year with a surplus of $1,980. Thank you, St. Mary's. We finished the year with $135,000 in operating cash and $113,000 in reserves. So I think we're in pretty good shape as we go forward into 2021. Peter Dayton's going to talk a little bit about the capital campaign, and I think you understand that we had a successful completion of this facility. So, and Father Todd has indicated that we have raised a significant amount of money, over $300,000, to fund Patsy McGregor's spiritual formation campaign. So I'll get to the nitty-gritty. We need to audit the books on a regular basis. And so this year, our auditor successfully completed what's called an investment review, which is kind of a skinny audit. But we're very well positioned with Ann Golivart's help to have them complete a full audit of 2020. That's a diocesan requirement. Let's take a quick look at 2021. We've told you in our stewardship campaign that our budget will start about $1.5 million, and we're still working on it. But you can be sure that it will depend on your continued support, plus, we hope, the revenues from the outside use of this facility, which we didn't get this year, and we're optimistic. And we also expect that we'll qualify for what's called PPP Loan 2.